We're standing by for that launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. We're a little bit away. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and we hope to bring it to you live.
Crew looking good on board. Everything marching towards.
I beg your pardon. We're not leaving.
Coming up on that 2-minute mark. And
Devin Lucy joins us now. This is Scott Kelly. Would stay 2 days short of a year in space. It's the longest that anyone has ever been in space. It would make him the longest serving American in space as well. So,
just check the latest conditions over here. Kazakhstan. They would say it's 7 degrees centigrade. So 7 degrees centigrade is 44.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Round that up to 45. Clear, partly cloudy skies with calm winds. That's very important too. So it appears by just that current condition outlook that this launch is going to go as scheduled.
About now inside 30 seconds.
We've passed a minute 30 until launch. The ground propellant feed getting ready to be terminated from the Soyuz rocket.
Again, of course, we're having to rely on the Russians on the Soyuz rocket to get to and from, get people to and from, I should say, the International Space Station, because after the retirement of the space shuttle, all we can do is send up those resupply missions. A minute out right now. And just like the shuttle launches became routine, these Soyuz launches have been routine and are routine. 2 Russians and Scott Kelly, the American, on board. One of his Russian partners there will spend that year with him. The other
Crew reporting they're ready to go. The vehicle on internal power.
The other Russian will spend 6 months in space, which is the usual term that they go up to this space station.
That is an awful long time to be in a confined space.
Yeah,
just even
really,
6 months.
Yeah,
that
really
is just that. I know what I can. A few out there, claustrophobes are thinking, oh, geez, that would be a nightmare.
The second umbilical now separating from the tower.
We're very close to launch.
15 seconds. The engines igniting. Ramping up. And liftoff. The year in space starts now. Kelly, Kornienko, and Padalka on their way towards the International Space Station.
Thrusters are in the elevated mode. Copy, everything is fine on board. We are feeling good.
Getting good first stage performance. The Soyuz delivering about 930,000 pounds of thrust through its 4 strap-on boosters and single engine.
The thrusters of the first stage are operating nominally. Copy,
Getting reports nominal operation. The first stage measuring 68 feet in length and 24 feet in diameter.
Thrusters are all put together.
Instead of coming straight down the way sort of the American traditional ones do, the Russians sort of flare out the front. Live pictures from inside. One of the interesting things about this, Scott Kelly, of course, his twin brother, also an astronaut, and the two are going to be compared. They're
NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman, a fairly smooth flight into orbit for these crew members.
Just listening to the to NASA mission control.
Pitch, yaw, and roll are all nominal. Copy.
It appears to be how you're actually directing your controls is with your kind of
just around 1,100 miles per hour. Continuing to get good data from the Soyuz.
Back on those couches to make the G-forces as tolerable as possible, you have to use the little selfie stick, in effect, to get to all the controls that you have to do.
The crew looking good inside. Again, Padalka in the center, Kornienko in the top of your screen.
All parameters of
in a modern day tablet to help you out with your information in front of you. That's interesting.
Fine on board. We are feeling good.
To think that even the Soyuz, a lot of that technology is going to be back, even as our program, probably into the late 70s through the 80s in development.
It was always sort of interesting to think about the average. And this was in the 90s and the early 2000s. Your home computer had many times the computing power of the devices that were in the space space shuttle.
They've dropped away at an altitude of about 28 statute miles. Soyuz right now traveling at about 3,350 miles an hour.
That's just incredible. 3,000 miles per hour.
150.
Continuing to hear good things from the mission
very much a
controllers
child
over
of
in
the
Readiness
space
Control
age,
Center in Coryell.
remembering watching those things in my class,
continuing to feed reports
going back to the
on
Mercury
the
launches in
vehicle
the
operating
60s and just
flawlessly so
being
far.
amazed at it. And all these years later, it still is something that holds my fascination. We wanted to bring you that live just because it's something we don't get to see very often, and because this is such an important event. Scott Kelly's Year in Space is the preliminary now to NASA's mission to Mars, if indeed one gets done. That could take a couple, perhaps even 3 years, and they want to see just exactly what the toll on the human body is going to be in space that long and all the different effects that will accrue to it. We'll keep an eye on what's going on up there at about 13 minutes or before the 4 o'clock hour. We'll take a break. Back with more right after this.
We are feeling good.
So the